Welcome back to Bookend Gaming. It's Otaku Tuesday.
Hello!
And I'm alone. Oh, I'm not alone.
Wait, I'm here. Wow!
You just busted through the door. Why are you all sweaty and where are your pants?
Wait for me. Diarrhea, because diarrhea reminded me of something.
Okay. I gotta say, every time I go to start these, because I tend to be the one to start, like, I'm the first one to talk in these most of the time. Every time I do it, I always want to say the name of the place I work.
Yeah.
Because I answer the phone like that. I'm like, ba, this is Travis. So like, wait, no, that's not right.
I kind of have, every time I answer the phone, I have to, like, remember what I'm going to say first.
Yeah,
even though it's
like,
the same thing every time.
Right.
I don't want to, like, say the wrong...
Well, yeah, you got to put your script down in front of you.
Right.
Or if you have to talk to someone, like, be an adult, you have to, like, pace around the room as you talk on the phone. Do you do that?
Yes.
I do that, too. I cannot just sit and talk on the phone. I have to be walking around. But I almost did it right there is why I say that. Right. I was almost like, this is Travis. How can I help you?
There was one time that I worked like very short amount of time at a T-Mobile. Yeah. And it was terrible. They didn't train me. It was stupid. But I answered the phone and said AT&T because it was like one of the first things and I was like, oh wait, no, I'm T-Mobile. Yeah. And it was like, surely you want to buy a phone from us now, right?
You have no idea who you're signing a contract with. Right. You'll figure it out.
Like, maybe they just thought I used to work with AT&T. I don't know.
Yeah, you just forgot where you were for a second.
Yep, because I was unprepared to be an employee there.
Yeah, of course. Why train you for a job? Just
no, they didn't at all, and they would leave me alone and go shopping, and it was probably the worst job I've ever had.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time. So
they all drank bad water, and now they're doing the
boiling water. So they're idiots.
they're
Diarrhea. That reminds me.
Yay, Pep. Wait, we did that already.
Yeah.
Gah! What on earth? How many times do I have to tell you not to shout out of nowhere like that? I mean, for heaven's sake, you absolutely never learned, do you? Or perhaps this is some twisted little game of yours, seeing how far you can make me jump.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna kill you.
Yeah, sorry. For the time being, how about you take a breath? You're gonna die.
Do that one more time, and I'm going to spank you.
With the punishment rod.
Firmly.
Look, said sorry, right? More importantly, hear me out for a second.
What is it, then? I'm using the mouse. I haven't been doing that for this game.
Let's make a toilet.
Oh, great. What? Why would we go out of our way to create a breeding spot for pathogenic no. If we used gasoline first, I see.
What?
That's one plus, for starters.
Yeah, let's burn our poop.
Kazuki?
When I tentatively called her name, Kazuki instantly thrust up her right index finger.
Poop!
I'll block it for you. This is our signal for wait 10 seconds. If I ignored this command and kept talking, I knew all too well Kazuki would fire right back with a forceful, "Don't spew out gobs of worthless noise at me when I am not ready to listen." Then glare at me with her deep, dark eyes full of cold scorn, muttering, almost like a television in human form, in the disgusted tone of someone pulled out of bed by a telemarketer. I'd quickly learned to respect the signal.
Lest she spank me again.
By now, one finger in the air from Kazuki, and I fell instantly silent for 10 seconds. You could practically see my tail drooping between my legs, like a dog given a firm command to wait. Honestly, I felt a little perverse admiration at how well she trained me.
It's hot.
Yeah, right?
Yes, I think it's a good idea.
I had no idea what sort of calculations Kazuki ran through in those 10 seconds to reverse her initial decision. Maybe she projected the pluses and minuses of building an outhouse through the next decade or so.
The pros and cons of pooping.
Everybody poops. Whatever the case, I had her permission to proceed with the toilet construction plan. With that settled, I headed off to ask Captain Sakashida's opinion on the matter, admittedly for the sake of form more than anything else.
But he just responded with a, "Nobody poops but you."
What did Kazami-san say?
Huh?
I expect you got her to approve this little plan before breathing a word of it to me, right?
Well, yes.
Then why not do as you please? Can you not sleep at night unless you push the responsibility for every step you take on my shoulders?
No, I can't sleep at night unless I've pushed out the poop that's in my butt.
Actually, it just kind of falls out of me at this point.
That's not really what I...
Every student club in our school had its factional disputes, In particular, the sports teams were notorious for their bitter infighting. You could fill a book with the petty spats that raged every year. They called it a burn book. Our basketball team was no exception from the rule, but it was somewhat unusual in that our conflicts never got too serious. The reason for that lay at the top. Captain Sakashida's charismatic presence would be a nice way to spin it, but to make a long story short, everyone was too afraid of her powerful family to risk making an enemy out of her.
So I just put her face and bitch in the book.
Do not trust this stanky bitch. But out here, her parents' influence was no longer a prop to her authority, and as our focus narrowed to the problems immediately before us, the pooping, some potential future reprisal was the last thing on anyone's mind. In other words, the captain's position was growing uncertain. God, Yuji's got to be reading this and just being like, yes, because he talks about shit all the time.
Yeah, right?
This is my favorite part.
Right. I wonder if they gave it to each other to examine.
Oh, no. Our education in that school for rich young ladies might not have provided us with many practical skills, but there was one noticeable exception. It had instilled in us a sharp sense of smell for duty. That is to say, the ability to sniff out the winning horse in any given race.
The original Call of Duty, if you will.
The smell of a clear winner always attracts a crowd, even when they lie at rest. Over the several days we'd spent in the valley, the number of people surrounding Captain Sakashida
Captain Crunch
had visibly declined. Her only consistent companion was Koide Ritsu, bound to her by a simplistic sense of obligation.
Oh, I don't remember her.
I don't know.
I think she was the one that was like the captain, but just rough.
Was it
you
me?
or her? Yeah.
Oh, forget it, Amane. Let's just go. As I stood stock still in front of the captain, trying in vain to find some response to her words, my fellow freshman, Ibiki Haruna, pulled me away by the hand.
Haruna.
Haruki. Ibiki Haruna. The only child of the president of the corporation, none of this really matters, headquartered in Kasukabe, that imported and sold luxury foreign cars, in Kazuki's opinion, decidedly insolent despite her total ignorance of the ways of the world, listless and lazy to boot, an exemplary child of the modern era.
Let's learn all about her.
She's going to die soon, who cares? And in the opinion of her dorm roommates, I just assume everyone, well, yeah, I know everyone's going to die in this.
Eventually.
Except for, what's her name?
In like 20 episodes.
Right. A total coward at heart despite constantly acting tough, and she doesn't even realize everyone knows it.
You know, you're way too much of a good girl, Amane. I keep telling you, nice guys finish last.
Well, good thing I'm a good girl. I'm not a nice guy.
I don't know about that.
Personally, the idea of gaining personal profit at the expense of being despised by others never really appealed to me. My mom always raised me to not be a nuisance to others. Live your life so as yearn folks' gratitude, not their scorn.
Look, you know how my dad imports foreign cars or whatever, right? You have no idea the stuff he runs into, like Italians? Gross.
Oh, no.
They think about their work so differently from Japanese people. They're always like, come on! At the time, the cars they deliver are a totally different color from what you ordered. Completely par for the course. And when you call up to complain, they get the manager's currently taking a siesta. I'm sleeping here! Or whatever. They can't answer the phone because they're taking a friggin' nap. Seriously. After calling them over and over at different times of day, maybe you finally get a hold of the guy in charge, but he just goes, we sent it the cars exactly as you ordered. Completely bold-faced, you know? And when you tell them that can't be right, you got the car sitting right there, they're bright yellow. They will literally say, somebody must have repainted them on the boat. Then not our problem. Like, how stupid do you think we are?
Mamma mia.
Why are you telling us this?
You know what a nice guy is? Someone who takes that crap sitting down like the patsy they are. When you get down to it, calling someone a nice person is just a prettier sounding way of saying they're a weakling.
It kind of feels like you're swinging a little too far to the opposite extreme.
You're a little racist, actually.
Nice person equals weakling. Trapped in the bottom of a gloomy ravine, we were all struggling to stay alive from day to day. Act like a soft-hearted good girl in such a hard situation and only be taken advantage of.
Well, I'll show them. I'm the only one that survives this.
Yeah, 'cause I'm the nicest girl. It was an extreme argument, even an amoral one, but I couldn't deny there was a kernel of truth buried underneath the bitterness. Speaking of kernel, I've got diarrhea. Ibiki had a definite dislike
Where'd they get the corn?
soft-hearted people from the very beginning, and she was always the sort to be vocal about her distastes. But since the fall, that element of her personality had been growing more pronounced and acerbic by the day. Little by little, everything was growing warped.
But as people talked more and more, I learned that I really need to poop, and it's the toilet is not getting built.
Yeah, we need to build this. This is getting dire.
Without food, our minds were robbed of composure as surely as our bodies were robbed of nutrients. Under such conditions, human beings lose their self-restraint. They slide slowly off the rails. I watched Ibiki quietly from behind as we walked. She's got a nice ass. Her school uniform was seriously grimy. Not that mine was any better. No matter how diligently we washed our clothes, it was just unavoidable in this place.
Lots of shit stains now.
Ibiki had been one of the more fashion-conscious girls on the team, but these last few days she hadn't even been glancing in her mirror. Without warning, she came to a stop and turned back to face me.
Poop time.
It's time to poop.
What were we talking about?
Huh? Oh, the story about the Italians?
Oh, right. Where was I?
Oh, yeah, those damn Italians.
There was some, princess in another castle or something.
I think you already finished.
I usually do.
Really? Sorry, it seems like I was kind of zoning out there. I've been getting really absent-minded lately. What a pain.
Ibiki, are you feeling alright?
To a greater or lesser extent, everyone here had been losing weight, but Ibiki had been slim in the first place. She was edging into emaciated territory. Her arms were as thin as branches on a withered tree where they emerged from her sleeves.
I mean, they're all pretty thin.
Right? Yeah, the fat one already died.
Ibiki, did you lose weight again? You look super good.
Of course I did. We barely eat anything and we're all pooping.
Yeah, probably.
She laughed it off, getting thinner and thinner even though I'm doing nothing at all. What was the point of all the hard work I put into those diets? But I found it impossible to crack a smile in return.
Too bad I don't have a scale. It'd be cool to know how many kilos I've lost.
Don't skip any meals, okay? You've got to eat.
Eat? Eat what?
This ass. Well,
it's full of nutrients.
There's kernels in there.
Getting gross.
No.
When she asked point blank like that, I didn't have much to say. We both knew perfectly well there was nothing left to fill her stomach. Watching as I hesitated awkwardly, Ibiki gave a high-pitched little giggle, then turned high-pitched, then turned around and walked straight off toward her tent.
She's just randomly. What the?
Human beings are malleable. Our environment changes us. Dropped into a warped situation, we are slowly warping ourselves to match. Small personality shifts like Ibiki's were far from the worst of it. Our extended stay in this place had given rise to far more serious problems, some of which were rapidly becoming impossible to ignore.
Yeah, we're turtle heading over here.
Prairie dogging it. Oh my god, thank you. I can take a drink.
I do apologize, Amane, but could you go pick me some more medicinal herbs?
yeah, chameleon plants again?
No, Mary Jane. If you'd be so kind. Also, if you could search for something edible while you're out there, it would be a big help.
If I could do that, I would have already done it.
I'll search, but
I know, I'm not saying you have to stay out there until you find something. Just look around a bit as you gather the herbs. Please bring them to me in the large tent when you're done.
In a large, just to carry a large tent full of medicinal plants. This is very inconvenient.
Here's my large tent.
okay.
The large tent. In other words, our little camp's sad excuse for a hospital. Kazuki was visiting it several times a day, conversing with and treating the wounded. Sakurai's wound had given initial indications of recovery, to the point she was increasingly able to move around, but a few days ago, it had apparently begun to fester. In fact, it was that very mobility that caused the problem.
The problem?
After many long days lying in the human tent, breathing air thick with the pus and sweat characteristic of a place occupied by the wounded, Sakurai snuck out in Kazuki's absence and bathed in the bacteria-laden spring. What an idiot! The gash in her abdomen wasn't so deep as to threaten her life, but it was by no means shallow. Thanks to her malnutrition, the laceration simply hadn't closed completely, and so, it seems, the bacteria invaded her body, infecting the wound.
Well, that was just dumb.
Right? They are doing all the wrong things.
Fortunately, Chamu plants were one thing we had in abundance of. No matter how many I picked, they seemed to grow right back. As the plants like to grow in marshy, damp spots, all I had to do was look for places sheltered from the sun. Especially after a rainy day like yesterday, there would be large quantities waiting. The rain brought a number of other blessings. Apart from the chameleon plants, I want to say it wrong now. In particular, large number of snails had appeared in the forest.
All right, eat them.
Fancy.
Mushrooms had also sprouted up, but I wasn't about to thoughtlessly start grabbing at them. Kazuki had severely beaten it into my head that a moment's overconfidence or a trivial act of carelessness could prove fatal.
They already talked about the mushrooms.
Right? Opening the lid of our rice cooker, I began picking a moderate number of chameleon leaves, careful not to take too many from any one plant. While I was at it, I grabbed a few snails as they crawled slowly across nearby tree branches.
Delicious.
Oh, good thing we didn't have the use all the salt.
Slimy yet satisfying.
Every time I tossed a snail into the makeshift bucket, its shell hit the bottom of the aluminum cooker with a sharp little rattle.
Oh.
Hearing that sound drove home the realization that I'd been reduced to viewing slugs as food, and a surge of self-pity abruptly welled up inside of me. Feeling the corner of my eyes grow hot, I sniffed in a futile attempt to hold my misery inside.
Sniff.
Crying wasn't going to help anything. Whenever you look it for salt. I knew that all too well, but the tears still came.
Since that bitch doesn't let you have any.
Right? Don't think too much. As long as I stay alive, I'll be rescued. As long as I don't give up, I'll get home. Empty words, but I forced myself to believe them. It was the only thing that kept my hands moving. It was the only way I could see going on as anything but ridiculous. I had plucked a few dozen leaves from chameleon plants and captured 2 snails with an unpleasant surprise pulled me back to reality. Ah! Glancing down, I noticed with a start that my sock was stained dark red.
Oh, no.
A leech had latched onto the calf of my left leg.
Ugh.
It hung suspended from my skin, round and fat with my blood.
Eat it.
Yeah, exactly. Get your blood back. It seems snails weren't the only slimy invertebrates that had multiplied in the wake of the torrential rain. Normally, I would have shrieked at the sight of the vile little creature, probably collapsed to my knees, weeping hysterically.
Oh, God. Are they going to stick it on that girl with the infection?
Maybe.
This is going to get gross.
Instead, I grabbed the leech firmly, peeled it off my leg, and tossed it into the trees with a
Nope.
mechanical calm that surprised myself. After removing the teeth still stuck in my leg, I carefully squeezed at the wound to wring out the leech's poison. Apparently, it's called a Hiruden. Ugh. But now that I looked, there was a numb, bleeding bite on my right leg as well. The leech had apparently already drank its fill, as it was nowhere to be found. Ugh. For some reason, the collar of my uniform felt oddly tingly against my skin. My heart thudding with cold dread, I slowly, tentatively brought my hand towards the back of my neck. My fingers brushed against a fat, slimy body, and this time I screamed. She did it. It's fine. I don't need to. Ripping the leech off my neck, I hurled it hard against the ground and rained a furious series of kicks down on it as I rained blows upon him. But the thing just didn't want to die. As I ground the writhing leech into the mud with my heel, my own blood gushed out in little spurts from its smashed body. I was seized by such an intense dizzying spasm of sheer loathing that I thought I might pass out on the spot. I couldn't take this anymore. I just couldn't.
Leeches. That's the final straw.
Yeah. After everything they've been through, it's leeches that just do her in. Lukewarm blood trickled endlessly down the back of my neck. I pressed my hand against the wound, but it just wouldn't stop.
Ooh.
This trip was over. Just as I decided to head back, I casually glanced up at the sound of the slight rustling from above, and in the next instant, a number of leeches came raining down from the overlapping tree branches ahead, aiming for me. Oh my God, they're jumping leeches!
And Yuji's like, oh, that's why you freak out every time I suck your neck.
My scream was better than hers.
Attack leeches just from the trees.
Yeah,
they're coming from the sky.
Leeches? Is this Resident Evil? Clutching the mess kit tightly to my chest, I ran stumbling out of the forest as fast as my legs would carry me. Listen very carefully, city dwellers. I'm willing to bet some of y'all have been known to say things like, I love nature. Being out in the green heals my soul. I'm a city dweller, but I sound like a country folk. Or whatever, yes.
That's what city folk sound like, right?
That's a city folk trying to be a country folk.
Right.
Well, if you ever find yourself in need of a broken nose, try repeating it when I'm in the room. Those tidy little trails you hike down with their trim trees and color-coded maps and porta potties and rest stations, that's an artificial playground for human beings. In that moment, watching the unceasing trickle of blood seeping into my uniform, I came to hate nature from the bottom of my heart.
Get a hold of yourself. There are some people who'd love to have this meal, you know that?
When I returned with the mess kit covered in my own blood, I heard a snarling voice inside the large tent. Captain Sakashida's here? I hesitated for a moment at the entrance, looking around. I saw the rest of the girls in the area were simply frozen in awkward uncertainty, looking deliberately away from the tent but clearly listening.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Sigh.
Sigh.
I couldn't just do nothing. Maybe just nonchalantly popping in there would drain some of the tension from the air?
Just don't stand there.
Having a single heavy sigh, heaving, I braced myself emotionally, then stooped down and passed through the open tent flap. We might have called it the large tent, but it wasn't exactly spacious as hospitals go. When I crawled inside, the scent of closely packed, sedentary bodies was as thick as always.
It's my new candle. Sedentary bodies.
No thanks. And today, the droning of flies filled the air. This was a more recent development. Apparently, the smell of blood and pus had grown strong enough to prove an irresistible attraction. No matter how many flies we drove off or swatted, there were always more to take their place. The interior was unevenly illuminated. Where the hell is the teacher?
He's gone.
Like, he just never shows up for anything.
No.
He's just completely silent through all this. Sorry, it's just, I keep thinking, that's like my one thought through
bugging.
this whole thing.
Yeah, it's really weird.
They just ignore the fact that adults exist. I get it at the school because it's not focused on them, but they literally have an adult with them.
Right.
And he's not helping
He's
them
not
the slightest.
mentioned.
Sorry. Unevenly illuminated by sunshine flowing in through gaps in the tree canopy. I could see Haruka-san and Sakurai lying at opposite ends of the tent, attended at their bedside by Captain Sakashita and Kazuki, respectfully.
Come on, eat up. You're going to eat this, understand? You have a responsibility to. No, this is an order. Eat it.
Captain Sakashita scooped some gruel out of the Sierra cup in her hand and pushed a spoon forward, but Haruka-san bit her lower lip and turned her face aside, rejecting the food outright.
Just eat it. I don't remember her voice at all.
Go for it.
You've been doing all the voices.
I'm not hungry.
Nailed it.
Don't be ridiculous. How many times do I have to tell you? We can't afford to put up with you being selfish right now. I understand that it tastes bad, but choke it down.
I myself had nursed Haruka-san numerous times over the last week. She'd never accepted much in the way of food, but the last few days in particular, she hadn't eaten anything remotely approaching a meal. With both legs broken, she was almost entirely unable to move. Spending all day lying down would probably tend to reduce your appetite. And when you happen to be lying down in a confined space, reeking of pus and dirt and sweat, hunger pains might be well less of a problem than containing your nausea.
It's just so lazy, laying there all day.
God, lucky? I gotta go out here and get attacked by leeches?
Right, from the sky.
Those sky leeches are the worst. The high fever from her fractures lasted 3 days, during which we were forced to keep her on a purely liquid diet. Even after her temperature fell, the most she could keep down was a light rice gruel with practically no added ingredients, and even that watery broth she sipped very slowly and in small quantities.
Please just stop. Have mercy.
Haruka-san grated out the words through gritted teeth,
Sorry.
her contorted expression begging for a reprieve. As she squeezed her eyes shut, small tears speared from the corners of her eyes. Lick 'em!
Mercy? What on earth? Don't try to turn me into a villain here. You make it sound as if I'm bullying you.
The captain jerked back the spoon and noisily slammed the aluminum cup to the floor in obvious irritation.
The foods!
The porridge inside was surprisingly thick with rice. Unlike our typical watered-down weed soups, it was a legitimate gruel.
You shot the foods.
Temporary compared to no one's going to understand that.
No.
Compared to the relatively healthy members of the group, the wounded needed more nourishment to help their bodies heal. They must have been receiving preferential rations. At a quick glance, there seemed to be as much rice in that one bowl as I received in a single day.
What?
That's so dumb. That's also a dumb thing. Like, as terrible as it is, don't give the people that are probably going to die the most food.
Yeah, well, I mean,
there's no point in that.
They have hope.
That's stupid. You shouldn't.
If anything, you should be thanking us, you know? How can you talk to me like that?
I think that's still her. No? I don't know.
It's her quoting her.
Yeah.
Why do you think we're giving special treatment to invalids who can't even work?
Just do her voice, but imitating her.
Yeah, it's Amane trying to imitate. I can't do a breathy Roz
voice.
Yeah. But before the next angry words in this sequence could spill out of Captain Sakashita's mouth, Kazuki, who had been silently cleaning Sakurai's stomach wound the whole time, finally interjected, "Objection!"
You're attempting to force her to do something she clearly doesn't want to do. If that's not bullying, what is?
Captain Sakashita turned to face Kazuki's back, glaring so fiercely I half expected her to pop a blood vessel.
The vein! It's alive! It's leeches!
You are aware of exactly how precious this handful of rice is to us right now, aren't you?
Yes, of course. Nonetheless, your approach to this situation is misguided. Sorry, I was thinking of the friends. Of Monica's vein. The three of us.
Oh,
Me, you, and the vein!
I can see it. Guys, I can see it.
If Kazuki noticed the captain's furious glare, she gave no sign of it, not even bothering to turn around. She continued treating Sakurai as she spoke.
It seems you may have gotten the idea that to lead under these circumstances, you need to become a forceful presence whose word is absolute. Perhaps you've decided that you can't go easy on anyone. However, when popular sentiment wants you to play the kind-hearted, compassionate leader in relation to the weak, isn't it more strategically sound to show them a bit of what they want to see?
Shut up.
In other words, I should follow your example? Show everyone some sly, insincere facade?
Correct. Yes, do try to follow my example in the slyness department. As you're somewhat dim-witted, you've picked up an unfortunate habit of trying to forcibly smash your way through every problem. Sakushita gotta smash.
Oh god, stop it, Kazuki. The tent was unpleasantly humid enough to begin with. I really could have done without the nasty cold sweat now drenching my back. Or is that blood?
It's the leech. I believe we'll be all right in here without your continued assistance. Might I respectfully suggest you consider returning to your tent?
I've got something to discuss with you later. Would you mind stopping by my tent?
Shall I bring the paddle again?
I'm not gonna murder you.
Goodness, how frightening. May I bring Amane along as well? I'm afraid I lack the courage to pay you a visit alone.
Feel free.
As she spat out those words, Captain Sakashita's dark, angry eyes flashed over to settle on me. What?
I gotta poop.
I'm going back to the leeches. Don't get me mixed up in this. Do not get me mixed up in this, Kazuki. Pierced by the captain's loathing glare, I stiffened in the entrance of the tent like a rock, managing to respond only with a terrified gulp. Maybe she realized how awkward I felt about the whole thing. Maybe not. Either way, Captain Sakashita gave a little snort, then pushed right past me and out of the tent. Kazuki?
What now? Kindly spare me the pathetic moaning. First of all, were you able to obtain the herbs?
Yeah, I did pick some. I quickly opened the mess kit I'd been carrying. At some point, the snails I'd captured had glued themselves to the opposite side of the lid.
They're breeding. They're making more snails.
Oh my god, we can live like kings!
Thank you.
Kazuki grabbed a number of chameleon plant leaves from the aluminum cooker, crumpled them in her hand, and deftly began to apply them to the area around Sakurai's wound.
Thanks for the chameleon plants. Does it sting?
Just a bit, but a little pain is better than the itchiness. Thank you as always.
It's like the first time she's talked, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
She's the one who has the gash. The little one was the one with the 2 broken legs.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Amane's the one who picked the herbs.
Thank you, Seo-san.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sakurai-senpai
Good.
was as placid and soft-spoken as always.
Nailed it.
You can tell just by her model.
Right.
That's definitely the anime quiet girl.
Even in the fairly tomboyish basketball team, she'd been generally admired as the greatest beauty in the group. I didn't know the exact details, but apparently her father was a famous stage actor, and her mother a former idol singer.
All right.
Born to 2 such people, it was perhaps unsurprising that she turned out as lovely as she did. Against such a contrast, the ugly, jagged wound across her abdomen and its crude stitches were all the more painful to look at.
Oh, I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
I'm okay. All right, we're done. Please head out of the tent and get yourself some sun.
Oh God, you ripped your stitches with that sneeze.
Ugh.
I'm very much obliged to you.
The presence of the wound must still have been a source of unease, if not discomfort to her.
Well, I would guess, yeah.
She's smiling. She's all right.
As Sakurai slowly rose from the ground, her hands softly traced the gash from above the freshly applied bandages. With a brief, polite bow to Kazuki, she quietly crawled out of the tent.
Quickly and quietly. Oh, she's a ghost.
Even stuck in a mess like this, Sakurai-senpai's still really beautiful.
Thanks, baby.
I want to get up in that gash.
It would be best not to say that to her face. That you want to get up in her gash.
Yeah, I love to get up in them guts.
She's a clumsy actress and rather tone-deaf to boot, so it seems she's convinced herself her looks are her only redeeming feature. Even words intended as a compliment might end up reinforcing her low opinion on herself.
Yeah, we wouldn't want her to have low self-esteem while starving to death.
Really? In that case, the ugly wound to her stomach must have been a considerable psychological shock. I turned around to peer out the open flap of the tent. As Sakurai slowly walked off into the distance, her shoulders seemed to be sagging. Fix it. Go tell her she's ugly.
If nothing else, I suppose we should be thankful she wasn't wounded on her face, like Canada-san.
To be sure, that would have been even harder on her. But Canada herself didn't seem particularly depressed. Always so polite. Maybe she was just counting herself lucky to have survived. I suppose she might just have been the sort not to sweat the small stuff. She didn't whine about the gash on her head, but at the same token, she wouldn't have come to have the wound treated unless we called for her.
In any case, we have a more pressing concern at the moment. Haruka-san.
Yes.
She looks like Will Byers from Stranger Things. That haircut.
I'm very sorry it took me so long to notice.
What are you talking about?
The reason you've been refusing your food.
As she spoke, Kazuki reached out for the zipper of Haruka-san's tightly closed sleeping bag.
No, not my sleeping bag. Wait, please, no, not...
Sneaking snacks!
Not there.
My gosh!
I understand that it's embarrassing, but we can't just leave it like this.
Kazuki's voice was far more gentle than I'd ever heard it before. Nonetheless, Haruka-san broke into painful, bitter sobs, like a child begging for forgiveness. She turned her head to the side, her gaze coming to rest on me. There were fat teardrops rolling down her cheeks.
Amane, would you be so kind as to boil me some hot water?
I'm gonna boil some cold water.
How much?
About a bucketful. No need to rush, but I would appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. As I turned to leave, a sharp new smell cut through the stuffy air of the tent. Who farted? And I finally understood the situation.
It's like the toasters. Toasters don't toast toast. They toast bread.
Oh, yeah. But bread toasted is called toast.
Right.
So it is a toaster. It toasts
It
the
toasts
bread,
the bread.
but it doesn't toast.
Right.
Yes, that's my brain.
Haruka-san soiled herself?
I guess you could just put the toast back in there, and then it would toast
Well, there
the
you
toast.
go. Toast the toast.
It would burn. And then it would just be a burner.
I'm going to name my first album Toast the Toast.
Toast the toast.
That's a good album name. I have plans to make an album.
Yeah, I'm going to join the music industry just because of that amazing album
It'll
title.
just be a spoken word album. And it's literally one track of me going, I just made this for the title. Because Toast the Toast is like a good title.
It had to be done.
Yeah.
And then Hotel Mario. All toasters toast toast.
There you go. Toast the toast.
Right. At the moment, she couldn't even stand up on her own power.
What are we even talking about now?
I don't know. Something about toast and toast while some girl with broken legs shits herself.
Yeah.
With a little maneuvering, she'd probably be able to handle a number 1 by herself, but a number 2 would absolutely require external assistance. Haruka-san had always been the most timid and introverted member of our team. Even under the best of circumstances, she found it difficult to assert herself. She must simply have been too humiliated to ask for the help she needed. In other words, she'd been refusing food for the last few days out of sheer terror at producing waste. It all fell horribly into place in an instant.
Sob.
Son of a bitch.
Sob.
Her body racked with sobs. Haruka-san buried her face into her hands. Kazuki spoke to her again, her voice like a comforting caress.
You have nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody poops.
It is pretty much what she's saying.
It's a natural part of being alive.
Slightly unsettled by Kazuki's uncharacteristic kindness, I hastily left the tent.
I can't handle this.
Yeah. Being too nice. Why don't I get to be nice?
She doesn't handle my poop that way.
Yeah.
What's up with that, Kazuki? There's no way she'd ever be that nice to me.
That is exactly. Jesus.
All of a sudden, there was a complex and intense mixture of feelings. Unease, irritation, anxiety, and others I couldn't quite put into words. Diarrhea. Swirling presently around my chest.
You're also not invalid and
Right.
need poop assistance
Yeah.
at the moment.
It's like, do you get jealous of when nurses talk to old people like they're children?
Right.
Which I hate. Like, I get why they do it. Like, I don't know why it's...
It is weird, and...
It's like a weird thing that humans default to when they're taking care of something.
Right.
But it's just degrading.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, you want some Jell-O, Mr. Smithers? Or I don't...
Smithers.
I don't know. Just
and
an
then
old
Mr.
person
Smithers
name.
is like, I guess
love
I
Mr.
do. Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to talk to him. Just talk to him like like a human. I guess babies are humans too, but whatever.
If you like Haruka that much, why don't you marry her?
Is this really happening right now?
Hold on a sec here, Self. What did you just say?
Self.
She's in love.
She's going crazy.
I mean, what? You'd almost think I was jealous here or something. Well, now that I think about it, maybe I really am a little jealous. But Kazuki and I are both girls, so, no, what exactly is going on here?
This is really not the time to be having these thoughts.
I get this kind of... I don't know. Whatever. It seems
like,
kind of forced.
Yeah, well, they're in this dire situation. They've been together this long, so if she develops feelings, I get it.
Right.
But when everyone is dying and shitting themselves and starving to death, that's not the time to go, maybe I am into girls.
And leeches are flying through the air at your face.
Yeah.
Sometimes pet dogs get all cranky when they see their master doting on somebody else's mutt. Maybe this is something similar. I knew it was downright weird for me to be feeling this way, but the irritation was real, and it wasn't going away. Maybe I should just throw my dignity to the wind and give her a nasty bite the next time she tries to give me a treat.
Just gash your stomach open and she'll treat you that way too.
Right?
Unless I'm very much mistaken, you're thinking some exceptionally silly thoughts right now.
I'm in lesbians with you. Kazuki, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
I trust you more than anyone else, and I'm relying on you more than anyone else. That's a fact. Wherever I may go, in the end, I'll return to you. All you need to do is wait with dignity and confidence.
It's been months since we've had a herm.
I know. We're never going to herm again.
Never gonna herm again.
That's your song on Toast the Toast.
Just never gonna herm. That's the only different word. The entire song, it's the exact same song. It just changed dance to herm.
What are you talking about?
You really don't understand? I'm telling you that you're indispensable to me. Come here, Amane.
What? Why?
Give me some sugar. You're bleeding from the neck.
Yeah, a leech bit me, but it doesn't hurt, so don't worry about it.
But look, the blood is still flowing. If we leave it be, you'll be bleeding for hours, you know? Hurry up and get over here. Oh, there you go. See?
Kazuki reached her small arms up, drawing my head down towards her, then pressed her lips against the scruff of my neck.
Oh.
After briefly running her tongue along the area of the leech bite, she began to suck on the wound.
Oh, God.
Smack, slurp, slurp, smack. Oh, God, Nekopara flashbacks.
Master, I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Stop. Wah, Kazuki, not so hard. You're gonna suck it right out of me.
Why are you singing that way? Was it the Kama Kama chameleon plants?
That's track number 2.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll suck out every last drop. Smack, slurp,
I want to know if she's like, if she wrote these sounds and like,
yeah,
Yuji's read like, what's happening here?
What the hell is this? Why does this have to be so pointlessly erotic?
Because you're in a visual novel.
I say that a lot when I watch anime.
Do you though? Are you really upset about it?
But then I'm
though?
like, yeah, it's fine though.
Yeah, it's like, this is why I'm watching it though. So, I mean.
Kazuki's lips, they're small and soft and kinda feel nice.
Pointlessly erotic is definitely going to be the title of this episode.
Yep.
This isn't good. Now I'm getting in a weird mood. My gash.
Yeah.
She sucked the blood and anticoagulant out of my neck until her mouth was full, spat it out, then came right back for more.
I love when you coagulate.
Hey, baby, you want to suck the anticoagulant out of me?
And Amane's just like, oh, skip this part, Yuji, skip it. You do not want to read on the next
It goes on
page.
for like 6 pages.
I understood she was performing medical treatment, but every time Kazuki's lips touched me, my body quivered. Every time she exhaled through her nose, her breath tickled my cheek, and strange little noises leaked out of my mouth.
What's this crude little drawing in the corner of the
Yeah, what the hell?
Oh my god!
In a daze, my eyes half closed, I whimpered nasally. It took a good minute for me to notice that Sakuma-senpai was standing nearby, her arms folded, taking in the whole scene with a smirk on her face.
No, continue. Wow, gotta say, you two are pretty brazen.
No, you've got it all wrong. This isn't what you think. She's just sucking the leech. It was a leech.
Leech.
I got bitten by a leech in the forest, and the bleeding wouldn't stop, so Kazuki just...
Hey, don't get me wrong, I'm not casting any stones here. Love comes in many shapes and sizes, in my humble opinion.
Look, I'm trying to tell you, this isn't an act of love or anything. She's just treating my wound.
Licking each other's wounds isn't an act of love. Who are you trying to convince with all the excuses anyway? Yourself?
Well,
You like it. I fully understand how enjoyable it is to bully Amane, but that's my special privilege as her partner. Please refrain from teasing her too much, Sakuma-senpai.
Don't talk shit on my girlfriend.
What a tyrant! Amane belongs to everyone, you know. Get over
They're
here.
turning into a lesbian commune.
Well, feel free to think so if you please. So, what is it then? Did you have some busyness with Amane? Busyness?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my turn on her neck.
Yeah. To quote Bachman Turner Overdrive, I'm ready to take care of business. You got a surprisingly possessive side, huh? Well, whatever. You're making a toilet, right? I gotta poop. The captain stopped by a while ago and told us we should come over to help if we weren't busy pooping.
That'd be a big help, thank you.
Don't mention it. Ain't like I got anything better to do, and when I'm not doing something, I get all depressed. Maybe it's just me, but when I'm moving my body, I don't feel quite so miserable. Just gotta dance. Sitting on my hands all day makes me feel a lot more worn out, but then I can do stranger danger.
Screw guys tonight. I just want to...
Stranger danger? I don't know if it's called that.
No, don't touch me there. So anyway, we'll be borrowing Amane for a bit. My apologies, Kazumi. Very well then, do make sure to handle her with great care.
Kazuki?
It's fine. If she starts thinking of you as some convenient maid who's always at her beck and call, your life's gonna get even harder. A little absence makes the heart grow... Whatever. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
I can't think. I gotta poop.
All right, so... Yes. This is a definite race against time to build this toilet.
All right, well, things happen.
Yeah. What? That was really weird.
Yeah,
Like, at least they acknowledged that it was weird and didn't, like, try to lean into it with, like, this is super hot.
Right.
Maybe it's just one of those situations where, like... Because we're playing the censored version, obviously, which, don't worry, we'll never do it again.
No, when we play the other routes, we're not doing this.
Yeah, we'll
this
switch
way.
to uncensored. But it's probably been a while since the last nude scene. So the guys playing one-handed are like, what's going on here? I need something.
There's a lot of poop talk. I'm not into that.
The leeches were kind of doing it for me.
Monster girls are there. I mean, it's a thing.
I just assume there's like, it's like when you're writing like a script for a movie, an action movie, you have to have an action beat like every 5 pages or something like that.
Right.
So this is like, I gotta have some kind of sexy thing every so often to keep people engaged.
So Amane being attracted to Kazuki a little bit.
Right. And having her older brother read about how he was
that's the weird part.
sexually attracted to his dead sister.
Right. I bet Yuji's just fully enjoying this.
Well, it is anime, so he might be.
There is a lot of poop talk too, so yeah.